Ja Rule, hip-hop artist of Murder Inc., known for rap songs such as Live It Up, The Rain, and Put It On Me. Ja Rule is headed for an historic meeting that will hopefully end the beef with him and Interscope hip-hop artist 50 Cent, a beef between the two that's been brewing for over a year. His first meeting of Ja Rule will take place at the home of Minister Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. Minister Farrakhan, best known as the author of the Million Man March. Will this meeting of a 27-year-old rapper and a 70-year-old charismatic religious leader end this beef? Let's witness this historic meeting as Ja Rule seeks out the counsel of a man he believes to be the peacemaker.
We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down.
Yes, sir.
We must get up.
Yes, sir.
And go to work.
This is one of the strongest national preachers that I have in the bounds of North America. Everywhere you hear him, listen to him. Everywhere you see him, look at him. Everywhere he advised you to go, go. Everywhere he advised you to stay from, stay from. So we are thankful to Allah for this great helper of mine, Minister Farrakhan. And I say continue to hear our Minister Farrakhan.
We live in the most dangerous time since there's been a time and a people on our planet. We need right guidance to get us through these. Know the truth. And Final Call Incorporated is the storehouse of truth. From lectures by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to books by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Final Call Incorporated provides you with guidance and insight into these troubled times. Look in the Final Call newspaper or visit us at store.finalcall.com to see our complete selection of tapes, CDs, DVDs, and books by a wide array of authors. Final Call Incorporated, the storehouse of truth.
And now our last proclaimer will be Minister Louis Farrakhan, representing the Muslim community, and he will come at this time as our last proclaimer on this eve of the opening of the Parliament of World Religions. Mr. Farrakhan.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the creator of all things, the revealer of all truth, the sender of all prophets. We thank Allah for Moses and the Torah, for Jesus and the gospel, for Muhammad and the Quran. But if I lived to be 1,000, I could never thank God enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi, who raised up among us the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to be his messenger to us and a divine leader, teacher, and guide. I'm speaking of none other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. This means in English, peace be unto you. To the Reverend Saunders, pastor of Quinn Chapel, to the co-chairs, Reverend Dr. Leon Finney Jr. and the Reverend Addie Wyatt, to the distinguished platform ministers, to the distinguished Reverend clergy in the audience, to our dear brothers and sisters. It is a great honor and privilege for us to be here this evening at this pre-Parliament proclamation, what they call the kickoff to the World Parliament of Religions that is meeting here in Chicago for the second time in 100 years. It is interesting to note that 100 years ago, black people had a very minuscule role in the parliament. But 100 years later, our religious experience and our faith tradition has catapulted us not only to be a part of the World Parliament, but to indeed exhibit leadership of the religious institutions of the world. For it is written of God's people that would be despised and rejected, a foolish people, that God would choose them to be his own, and that they would not need the light of the sun nor the moon, for he would be their light. And they would no longer be the tail but the head, and the last would be the first, and the bottom rail would come to the top, and the rejected stone would become the headstone of the corner. And so it is fitting that the faith tradition of Black America come to the forefront. I am so honored to be present in this meeting with members of the Church of God in Christ, members of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, members of the Apostolic Faith, members of the Catholic faith, the United Methodist Christian faith, and Muslims. All of these different names, but the common denominator is Christian faith, Jewish faith, Muslim faith. So the adjective that describes faith may tell us the way we express faith, but what we're talking about is faith. Paul said, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is not given by man. Faith is the gift of God to every human being. Faith starts like a seed, but like all seeds, it must be planted in fertile ground and watered and fed, that faith may grow. The baby that is born into the world is born with the seed of faith, because when the baby is placed on the breast of its mother, it instinctively knows how to pull. And what is it exhibiting? Faith. It's the substance of something hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. The baby pulls on the breast until it yields what the baby hoped for. So you didn't have to tell the baby, have faith. The baby was born with faith. When the baby cried, the baby didn't cry because it didn't instinctively believe that somebody would answer. It cried and an answer came, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. And that is the tradition that brought us all to this hour. Many of the slaves that were brought to America were called Muslim. And the word Muslim only means one who submits his or her will to do the will of God. If I asked you, are you a Muslim? You would say, no, that's not my faith. But if I ask you, do you desire to submit your will to do the will of God? You would say, that's my faith. Because that was Jesus's faith. Not my will be done, but thy will be done. Now let's look at our faith tradition. Because Muslims, called Moors and Saracens and Muslims, black men in Africa, fought Europeans who were called Christians. When the New World was discovered and populated with slaves, those who populated the New World did not want Muslims in the New World among slaves, because they felt that our faith tradition would make us too militant, and they did not want militants, they wanted subservience. But notice, we brought to America not only Islam, but we brought our religions from Africa. But the slave master wanted no tie to Africa at all. It is written in the Psalms, let us cut them off from being a nation, that Israel may no longer be remembered in them. They wanted to cut us off from Africa. So as a presenter before me said, they took away name, language, culture, religion, God. They made it against the law for us to practice religion. They were Christians. They set up a church that we could not attend. They had a Bible, but they locked the Bible so that our fathers, if they learned to read, would not be permitted to read. They didn't allow us to be Muslims. They didn't allow us to be Christians. They did not allow us to be anything of the religions of the world, but they couldn't take away from us faith. Faith was what brought us through. So for 300 years on the slave plantation, without Christianity, without Islam, without Judaism, but with plenty of faith, we stayed the course. Somehow we knew, like Job, that I'm going to wait, but my change is going to come. Somehow we knew that as we saw the change of seasons from winter to spring to summer to fall and back to winter, and night going into day and day going into night, we knew that one day our change would come. And so that faith sustained us. And we marched on through slavery, through no families, through the misuse of our women. We kept faith. And that faith was rewarded with substance. Soon they permitted us to go to church. But they didn't want us in their church. They built a separate church for black people. But we didn't mind that because we took what they gave us and we organized under what they gave us. And they had to look back at what they gave us because it seemed like we were getting more out of it than they, because something that God had put in us of faith made us extract from the word strength that made us endure the dark night. And in our segregated church, they could hear us praying, and they could hear us singing, and they could hear us shouting, and they wondered, how can they sing the Lord's song in a strange land? But they didn't understand the faith tradition of black people. They loved to hear us sing the spirituals because the spirituals spoke to our faith. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming to carry me home. Was a band of angels coming after me, coming to carry me home. We knew that this was not our home, but we knew that our home was over Jordan, and so we gave messages to one another. Come on, brothers and sisters, let's steal away. Let us steal away to Zion. Ain't got long to stay here. Oh, don't you want to go? Don't you want to go to that promised, not sky, but promised land, where all is peace? Because this is a deep river. My home is over Jordan. I just want to cross over into campground. Well, they didn't know what they were giving us when they gave us the gospel. They thought they were making us better tools of service for them when they taught us of the master. They tried to teach us in a way that would make us better slaves. Now, slave, obey your master. They took the Gospels and the writings of Paul, and they tried to use it for wicked and mischievous purposes. Don't steal your master's corn, and don't steal your master's chicken, and don't steal your master's hogs. And if they smack you on one cheek, you know what you're supposed to do. Turn the other. And if they take your coat, be sure to give them your pants, and pray for those that despitefully use you. But they didn't know. They were giving us a gospel that one day would be like gasoline, that all somebody had to do was light a match to it. And we would rise up on wings of faith. And so we became Christians, a different kind of Christian. We seem to understand Jesus a little better than those who taught us of it, because it seems like suffering and privation makes you closer to God. Like the scripture said, I didn't choose you with silver and gold, but I chose you from the furnace of affliction. We were sharpened by our suffering. The more they put on us, the stronger our determination was. It was the Bible that gave us Nat Turner. It was the Bible that gave us Denmark Vesey. They read about Pharaoh, and they read about Moses, and they knew that Moses challenged Pharaoh. So Denmark Vesey rose up to challenge the modern slave master. There were some Uncle Toms around, but faith made him stand up for God, stand up for truth, stand up for freedom. Sojourner Truth. They read the Bible. It's the Bible that produced Sojourner Truth. It's the Bible that produced Marcus Garvey. It's the Bible that produced Malcolm X. It's the Bible that produced Elijah Muhammad. It's the Bible that produced Martin Luther King Jr. Well, what is in that book? And Brother Farrakhan, why did you become a Muslim? I wasn't looking for a new faith. I just was fed up with hypocrisy that I saw that bishops spoke about, that seemed to be in the church, where they preach the love of Jesus Christ, but they practice something else. And this is the reason. This is the reason why there's a First Baptist church that was white